guys, welcome to Clockwork Noodles. I've got a secret, guys. I may have cried during this episode. Just little tiny tears as I was just sniffling away trying to write notes. This episode got me, which means it's the first episode from Vinland Saga bar Arnheid Welcome Home to Gadir. That one got me. Those are the two moments of Vinland Saga that have actually made me cry. The Gadir one where she's just like welcome home to him. It's meant to be a happy moment because he's saying welcome home, but then she just says welcome home, but you know it's the end. That just broke my heart. Little tiny tears, teeny weeny little tiny ones. This episode for me was actually a masterpiece. I've got a lot to say, and for the first time, I have gone on to 3 pages of notes. This hasn't happened in a very long time because I often boil it all down. A lot I want to say, and this is me still trying to boil it all down. Thank you for tuning in once again, guys. I am Clockwork Noodles. Welcome to the channel. We break down anime on a weekly basis. If you haven't already, go check out the summer 2023 overview. Going to show you what we're going to break down next season, things that I've grabbed interest in. There's a new feature coming your way. We are going to be breaking down 12 shows that have been and gone, are not currently airing. 12 shows that I really enjoy. Promote to you guys. I'm going to be breaking down the first episodes of them, and I will tell you why it's good, what I like so much. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. We are 2 noodlings away from hitting 700. We went down one. It's the ups and downs of life, and I really hope that at least 2 of you out there will find what I'm doing interesting and hopefully give us that support that we need to hit that 700 goal. We are still aiming to hit 700 by summer. This is the penultimate episode. Personally, would have actually accepted this as the end, but I saw what they teased next week and I actually want to see it. If for some reason they had just ended it right here, I would have accepted it as a half resolve. I would have accepted it as a pretty decent ending because they do a very good job on tying up a lot of the loose ends. We do get some very happy resolves for me personally because there's been a few things I wanted to see more than anything. They finally do actually happen this week. Kudos to Vinland Saga. Knut scene. Let's quickly go backwards. Last week, Knut scene with him trying to tell the waves to stop. He made a point. I did a bit of research because it was such a weird scene. I was like, this is very random. I wonder if it's based on anything. And I found out that it is indeed based upon a tale from Knut. King Knut got his throne, sat it in the water, and he tried to tell the waves to stop. And then he said the same very powerful line that Knut basically says in the show. It's about, I can't control it. You know, there's something always higher than me that always has that control, aka the gods. In the tale, it's played off from more of a comic feel. The tale itself, Knut's a bit different. He hasn't killed any of his brothers. He does come across as a bit more eccentric in the tale itself. In the show, it's made for more of a point. I'm proving a point that there's something above me and I'm trying to defy God. That is the point that he's trying to make. I just wanted to point that out. I love the differences between Einar and Thorfinn. So one's very angry, the other one is more passive. We've got the angry reaction, which you do feel for, with Einar saying, well, that's how it's always going to be. It's like might makes it right kind of thing. He's angry about it, whilst Thorfinn tries to stay on that passive level. I love being able to have the contrast between the two. Thorfinn is also shown emitting a warm glow when we see Knut talking to Swain. The King Swain moments are absolutely amazing because it allows us to get that insight into Knut's inner thoughts, which I really do appreciate because otherwise you don't really know what the character's thinking because you're not coming at Knut from his perspective, you're going at it from Thorfinn's perspective. It's quite nice to see him emitting a warm glow because Knut is standing in the darkness all alone, whilst to him, Thorfinn is bright, Thorfinn is warm, Thorfinn is actually coming at him with love. Swain says, why did you tell him this? Knut wants to be understood. He told Thorfinn because he thought there was a possibility that Thorfinn may understand what he's trying to get at. Now, Knut in this sequence as well is shown with very cold colours, blue in the shadows, which I also really, really like because it gives you that unease when you're looking at it. And it's that difference between Thorfinn. Thorfinn is shown with a lot of reds, warmer colours, whilst Knut has those blues because I'm standing in the shadows, I'm doing something that I understand would be seen as a bad thing. The moment when Swain tells him that nobody can understand the greater picture because you are the shepherd, sometimes it's impossible to see the greater picture if you're within it. It's a very interesting perspective. It's nice to have it there because Swain is trying to give us motivation for Knut. He's trying to motivate Knut on, so you see what is driving Knut and his ideas. A lot of nice use of silences this week, a lot of pauses, which is nice because a real conversation, sometimes it flows, but you will get moments where you're talking to someone where it's natural to just pause. Think about what I just said and then continue. It builds space and I really like the use of it. It's the writing this week I have to praise, just absolutely classic writing, which is sad because people don't get the power behind the writing of this season because people just see it as slow and boring. Now, I will agree there's some pacing issues. I understand why in places it's slow, because it's supposed to drive home a point of Thorfinn taking a very long time to learn the painful way and how mundane it really is. I get it. Always sad when I see people giving low scores to something where I don't think it deserves it, and I really don't think Vinland Saga deserves any of the hate, because there is a power in being able to write slower non-action pieces, and I think this, especially this episode really hits hard because of the lack of action. This moment for me was an action episode. Even though it's not, it still felt like it hit me in the feels. Thorfinn says, I'm just going to run away. Canute can't even believe what he's just heard. And all this time we've actually heard that if they put down their swords, they don't stand against me, they do not oppose me, I will let them live, which is exactly what he does with Thorfinn. Like, you're not going to stand in my way, I don't see you as a threat, therefore I don't need to come after you because you're not getting in the way of my great plans, which is what I thought was quite a nice moment. And this is also the moment where it took me a while, but the paradise that Canute is trying to build is actually utilitarianism. Now I'm going to put my little philosopher hat on. I have a minor in philosophy. It wasn't what I was focusing on. History is my forte. I love history. Utilitarianism is for the greater good. It's the trolley problem. Have you ever done that thing where you've got 4 people on one side of the track, they're all tied up and a train is coming hurtling towards them, and you can make the decision to send it down one track where one person is tied up and on the other side there's 4. It makes you believe there's 2 options when it's not always the case. That's the problem with utilitarianism. Initially off the bat you go, I'm going to sacrifice one person for 4 people because I say 4. That is what utilitarian is. Canute is trying to create a paradise for the Vikings, but he is sacrificing the little people. So it is the trolley problem, but with little Viking hats on it on the railway line. Really interesting. Go have a look and check it out. Obviously, I'm giving you the bare basics. Love the way that Thorfinn ends this. Triggers the next amazing, powerful sequence. He's not angry. He's just disappointed. And he just turns to leave and says, I've wasted my time. Amazing. So I'm done. I'm walking away. Sometimes I think it's worse when you're in an argument if somebody just says, yeah, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm gone. Because you can no longer talk about anything. The conversation is done. That person's either being mature or they are running away. Thorfinn can't achieve anything. He's being mature. He's just saying, enough is enough. I'm going to walk away. That's it. And it's that moment that literally triggers the next amazing sequence with Canute, the change with Canute, because as he says, it's the first time that nobody's tried bargaining with me. Nobody's ever just stopped. Nobody's ever just walked off. Knowing someone's disappointed is actually a lot worse than them hating you outright, because disappointment is just, I'm just disappointed in you as a person. I'm not angry at you. I expected better. I had this expectation and you did not meet it. I feel like that hurts more than just I'm angry at your choice. It's also the closest moment to seeing Canute and the old face resemblance to his younger years here, with him just laughing at how crazy Thorfinn really is. His actions are just, as he says, they're crazy. You're here unarmed. This is absolutely insane. But at the same time, it's the first time you've been truly entertained. You're not killing anybody. And it actually has the effect it needed to have. It's shown you that I'm not going to do anything. I'm not a threat. I'm just going to leave it. And there's no point. As Thorfinn says, I couldn't do anything even if I wanted to. He admits quite a few times, which is quite humbling for Thorfinn, I have a small force ability compared to you, which I think is really humbling for Thorfinn, because he's not overestimating himself. He's saying there's very little I could probably do, but it's not going to stop that drive. Because Thorfinn is overexposed, we get this very bright shining light. Thorfinn essentially is the shining light in the darkness that is the Vikings, because he's still a Viking. Canute sees him as a Viking. A light can exist in the dark, and it's such a nice exchange, a really powerful moment. And the music at this point, I'm focusing more on the plot this time because the plot is doing so much. There's a few moments where the music really does do something. All the way through, the music is really, really clever. I don't want this video to take forever, but I have so much good stuff to say. Thorfinn does hint that there's a place for fighting, and it's when he says, if I can keep running, I will keep running until I run out of places to run, then I will probably have to turn around. It's the idea that a cornered animal will eventually just attack. Things will always favour running first, they then have to fight. If I have no other option, then I will fight. So I kind of like this, because we did hear from Thorfinn that violence and force was always going to be his last resort, like right at the end when he's given up on absolutely everything. So that's a nice backing up of that idea. Now the sun set at this point, the sun just completely sets, where we finally get our conclusion. All the way through this conversation, the sun has been going down. This is it. The conclusion is done. Thorfinn states, I'm just going to be building a world for the people who have no place in the world that you are creating. So we we can both have our ideals. And he even says at the end, even you, Canute. Canute does not fit into the world that he is creating for the Vikings, and let's say he has nowhere to go. He will always be welcome in Thorfinn's paradise, which I think is absolutely amazing. They are both fighting for the same thing, but they're doing it in different ways. Thorfinn at this moment, I thought really looked like Askeladd. The pose, the head tilt, the kind of smirk, the crossed arms, iconic for Askeladd, especially when he had to sit there looking back at everything. I thought that was very nice. Ironic as well, because at this moment in time, Canute asks him, who did you actually take after in the end? I see a mixture of everything. I see the mixture of his dad. I see a mixture of the cunning Askeladd who was able to talk his way through things in Thorfinn. It's also nice because the post straight after, Canute looks very Askeladd-ish, and it's the way that he kind of has his hand in his fingers, that cunning aspect of Askeladd. And it's just beautiful because they both share a role model, and seeing it in their poses as well, because he's the person they grew up around. Very nice touch. It's so subtle. I noticed it, and I'm hoping that you guys also picked out on that as well. So Canute actually leaves. I am absolutely astounded that he left. Bravo. It was grasping a little, but it didn't feel out of place. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the beautiful starlit scene as they leave, and you've got Wolf being proud because he saw Canute smile. Wolf is a nice character. I feel like he'd be quite a cool character. He's like the snake for me on Canute's side. Canute says he's going to abandon the land grabbing, which he was going to try and do. But that wouldn't have been good for him anyway. There's other ways to make money, and you do see he starts to disband his army, which is a great way of cutting your costs. Because he also realises at the end when he's leaving that Thorfinn is actually an ally. He's helping him save people. I'm not going to do this because I don't want to create more work for Thorfinn. That is such a nice little nod between the two, because Thorfinn basically impressed him enough for him to see him as an ally and somebody who I can allow to try doing his ideals, because he's just like me trying to get my ideals. Now, this is historically accurate. I am so happy because this is correct. Canute does lessen the Viking presence in Britain. I think I started with this quite early on. I said he was a good king because he just didn't lead with a iron fist. He led with a gentle grip, which is what we're seeing right here. He has a small force of 16 where it needs it. And people really started to like him because, hey, he's not forcing it. He's not doing bad, brutal things. He's showing that I trust you, get on with it. And sometimes showing somebody in your team that you trust them, it gives them a greater purpose, and they actually appreciate it and grow better than if you were to come down with force, where people don't like being oppressed. People like to feel lifted up, which I think is maybe even a nod to leadership styles as well, which is really clever if we go into it. There's so much you can go into in this episode, so you guys might even pull different things from me. The snowdrop meaning, let's go back to where it all began on the Clockwork Noodles channel. I used to do Mr. Love breakdowns, and I'd go into the flower meanings. Snowdrops. Sympathy, consolidation, they are the first flower to bloom at the end of a winter, aka they symbolise hope in hard times, because Arnheid was that hope for Einar. This is the perfect moment where we are now having a hope within the hard, dark times that we've got, and it does seem like we're going into summer, because the next sequences on the farm are them farming once again, them tilling the land, so it does feel like we've just come through a season, which is really, really nice. I've got to give it to Vinland Saga for being able to map the passing of seasons. Powerful sequence, the next bit with the birds flocking, going from a red sky to a gold sky. Beautiful, leaving a very dangerous situation, a very bloodsheddy kind of situation, to gold. Gold is hope. The cello at this point, shivers, absolute shivers as that cello starts to soar. I love the fact that Thorfinn says, if it doesn't exist, I will still make it. So there's the idea of a hint of force again. If Vinland don't exist and it's just pain, 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 I will still make it by force if I have to. Thorfinn calling Einar brother, and then Einar's response also calling him brother. I think this might have been where I might have started to cry. Just a little tiny tears, guys. Only little ones, tiny little sniffles. I've got a cold. Absolutely beautiful because they both share a goal, and they are brothers from another mothers, but they may as well just be brothers because they've gone through the thick and thin with each other. Love these two. I think these are such a powerful kind of duo. Einar's the more hot-headed, Thorfinn is the quieter one, but he's also very mature. He's inspired his younger brother, Einar. I actually think he's younger than Einar. So actually Einar is the older brother, whilst Thorfinn is the younger brother. Criminal that people do not appreciate what we've got with Vinland Saga. I know it's been slow in places, but it does reward you with moments like this where you needed those slow moments to make this more powerful. This big old resolve at the end is more powerful because it's taken such a long time to get here. It's not just here's a problem, here's a solution, done. It's this is a problem, we're going to work through it. We're going to really work through it, and here is now your well-earned solution. Really surprised that Old Man Katil is still alive. You guys did say that. I am actually very, very happy. I'm sad to say farewell to everybody. Overjoyed that Thorfinn and Leif Erikson finally get to leave together. That was the thing that I really wanted. More than anything, I wanted those two to leave. Sad to see my boy Snape go, but happy he's alive. Oh, should I say Roald, son of Grimm? So happy to finally know your name. Such a nice moment, and oh, I'm so sad. Patir is still alive, which is nice. Omar, really growing up. A little fun fact, I did get Omar confused with Thorfinn in the first OP with River. There's a reason. It's because they're both like each other. They both look kind of like each other, and now Omar's idol in life is Thorfinn, and so happy because he's really developed. So amazingly developed. It makes sense for them now to be finally resolved because it feels like we've put a lot of work into all of these characters. I'm so happy. Now the chorus at this point in the background, really powerful, starting to build up together. The idea of grouping up together, standing strong, rising up from the ashes. Music, again, pulling its weight, not slacking. Absolutely love it. Katil left a broken man. He does cry. He sheds a tear. He knows he's done something really bad. But you've got the gold washed over the farm where you've got hope, prosperity. Omar has also grown up to be a son that he really wanted. He wanted his son to stay away from the idea of violence, be different from Thorkel. He wanted Omar to be the one that he handed his farm to. And in that sense, he made the right call because Omar really is proven to be the son that Katil wanted him. And I love the fact that at the end, he's actually found love. It's quite nice to see him tilling the lands because he used to run away from tilling the lands. Beside the person that I'm happy that he's going to go with. She was the one who tries to play him initially at the start, but she did kind of seem to like him. And then her dad loses his hands in the war and she says, I can't, he can't work for you. How am I going to do it? And she begs him for help. And here he is helping. We do see the retainers as well. Everybody is working. It's such a powerful moment. We do get some very powerful quotes. Maybe they're from the Bible. Not sure. Haven't really read the Bible. If I have as a kid, I don't remember it. So you'll have to tell me if those are the Bible quotes. They could be. Not quite sure. Could even be from the Vinland Saga itself, which it's based upon. That would be cool. That makes sense. We've got one episode to go, but I could still accept this if the studio suddenly just dropped Vinland Saga. I would accept this as quite a nice stopping point. I'm looking forward to next week because it does seem like Thorfinn has finally returned home. I'm probably going to cry next week. All the way through this season, even last season, I was like, he's got a sister. Is he ever going to see his sister again? And his mum's still alive. I finally get the sequence that I really wanted. This episode in itself has really pumped the score up for me. Next week is the final episode of Vinland Saga Season 2. That video is going to probably be about the same length as this one, where I'll give you my overall thoughts. Final say, I'll give you my overall score for Season 2. We'll have to hope that we get a season 3 on the horizon. But thank you guys so much. I really hope that you've enjoyed some of the points that I've picked out. I really think you could revisit this episode in particular and pick out so many different points. Like, there is so much there. I think you could find different things to pick up on each time if you rewatched it. My favourite episode so far. Really can't wait to see where the story goes because I get a feeling we might even get a time skip at the end of next episode. We'll have to see if I'm correct. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been another fantastic episode to break down. I hope you're looking after yourselves. Bye-bye, guys.